President Trump says one thing, the American people feel something very, very different. On the simple question, are groceries affordable? Take a look at this. Think groceries are affordable? No and yes. Back in February, the majority of Americans said yes. Then, of course, the Iran war began, right, in late February. Look at these numbers now. That no number has skyrocketed. Look at this. 66% of Americans now say that groceries are, in fact, not affordable, unaffordable. Look at that yes number plummeting down into the ground from 54% to 33%. So Donald Trump says something, but the American people feel that their reality is far different from what the president is touting.
Yeah, and which segment of the American people are getting hit the hardest?
Yeah, okay, which segment of the American people are getting hit the hardest, Kate Baldwin? Great question. And you know, if we talk about this, when we're talking about the Donald Trump base, we're talking about working class voters, right? So take a look here. Okay, income under $50,000 on grocery affordability. And keep in mind that this Donald Trump won this group back in 2024, put up a historically strong performance for a Republican candidate. But look at these numbers now. Just 16% of those with household incomes under $50,000 think that groceries are affordable. The lion's share, 82%. You rarely ever see 82% of any group agreeing on anything. But what you see here is that those working class folks, those who have incomes, household incomes under $50,000, the lion's share, more than 4 in 5, say that groceries are unaffordable at this point.
How much has this flipped? How much has this changed in terms of how they believe Donald Trump is doing on the economy?
Yeah, okay, so we're talking about a group that Donald Trump carried back in 2024, put up a historically strong performance this century with those making under $50,000. And look at these numbers. Look how these numbers have changed. Okay, income, again, household incomes under $50,000 on Trump and the economy. Back in October of 2024 versus Kamala Harris, he was more trust in the economy by 16 points. Look how it's a whole different world, a switcheroo. The net approval now, 39 points underwater, under the Hudson River. We're talking about a flip-flop here of greater than 50 points. The working class have turned against Donald Trump. They simply put, don't believe things are affordable, are taking their anger out on him. And you really have to wonder whether or not they'll take out their anger on Republicans come the fall midterm elections as well. Joe Rogan is the young Republican whisperer. What are we talking about here? Well, why don't we just take a look at this? Okay, the net popularity with Republicans under the age of 45. Look at Joe Rogan at plus 62 points. He is far more popular among young Republicans than even Donald Trump is at plus 28, and way more popular than Tucker Carlson, who, of course, also has his own podcast at plus 18. If you want to appeal to young Republicans, the place you want to go to is you want to go on Joe Rogan's podcast, because I can't find a single other person out there in the media or otherwise who is as popular with young Republicans as Joe Rogan.
What is notable about J.D. Vance is he's cozying up to all three of these guys.
Yes. Take the buffet line.
He is a full buffet there, but Rogan by far outpolls Trump or Carlson on this. What about if you're trying to reach, the so-called disaffected voters, people who aren't in the mix normally?
Yeah, okay, if you want to get those who are disenchanted, perhaps those voters who didn't cast a ballot in 2024. I know there's this idea on the left, maybe Democratic Socialists of America, but just take a look here. Where do you want to go? Voters who didn't cast a ballot in 2024, the net favorability in points, the Democratic Socialists of America are way underwater at minus 22 points with the disenchanted. But again, look, Joe Rogan, he's on the positive side of the ledger. He doesn't just talk to young Republicans, he talks to the disenchanted voters as well at plus 12 points. So Joe Rogan reaches audiences that might not traditionally listen to other media. They listen to him, they like him, especially those who are younger and those who didn't cast a ballot in 2024.
It's so interesting. People on the couch who may not vote, who choose the couch over the polls, they're on that side, not on this side.
Exactly right.
Very interesting. What about all voters?
What about all voters? There's no problem going in front of Joe Rogan. Net favorability among all voters. Joe Rogan is on the positive side of the ledger, something J.D. Vance is not, and neither Gavin Newsom, another leading candidate for 2028. So the bottom line is this: Joe Rogan hits a lot of audiences, and you know what? Going on with him, it helps. It doesn't hurt. All-time high for Google searches here in the United States of America, up 318% versus a year ago. I'm in this getup for the beautiful game because the bottom line is Americans now believe we are joining the rest of the world. We do believe it is the beautiful game.
What about the TV ratings?
Yeah, okay, so you see these Google searches, right? You say, okay, what about the hard numbers? Not just the interest in it, but actually watching the sport, right? What are we talking about? Well, when the U.S.-Belgium World Cup U.S. viewership, earlier this year, 50 million people across Fox and Telemundo watch it. That made it the most viewed sports event of any non-NFL game since the 1994 Winter Olympics. My goodness gracious. And of course, that was Nancy Kerrigan and Tanya Harding. So we're just talking about absolutely amazing stuff when it comes to the viewership and the interest levels as well in soccer.
I mean, this is a big
It's
number.
a huge number.
Okay, so you still also are going to have to watch it on TV because how hard is it to get a seat?
It's basically impossible to get a seat. You're going to have to shove out some real do-re-mi. You're going to be dressed like me on the couch because take a look here. The chance that the get-in price for the World Cup final is over $6,000 at 3 p.m. on Sunday. Get this, an 80% chance, according to the Kalshi prediction markets, a soccer ball like this and a get-up like this is probably the closest that anyone will actually be able to come to, experiencing the World Cup in person.
Please put $6,000 in perspective for us.
Yeah, I'll put $6,000 in perspective for you. $6,000 is the amount of cost, the damage I'll do if I kick the soccer ball too hard. But beyond that, the last-minute ticket cost for the 2026 Super Bowl was about $3,000. How about the median Eras Tour, the get-in price? We're talking about $958 back in 2023. If you're more expensive than seeing Taylor Swift, you know you're quite popular. It's a beautiful game, but it's an expensive one as well, unless, of course, you're just playing it
Nope.
in the studio. Okay, the House wants to make daylight saving time permanent, but does that get you the most sunlight when you're actually awake and doing things? The answer is no. No, it does not. Okay, which of these systems give you sunrises pre-7:30 a.m. and sunset post-5:30 p.m.? This is a national average during the year. Okay, if you go to all daylight saving time, look at that, just 60% of the year actually gives you sunrises pre-7:30 and sunsets post-5:30. Now look at this. The current system beats that. 69% of the year gets you that. Indeed, the system that gets you the most sunlight when you need it ain't daylight saving time. No, no, no. It would actually be going if you went to standard time only at 72% of the year. So the bottom line is this. The House says, hey, we're going to give you the most sunlight. No, you're going with the system that gives you the least. It makes no sense, mathematically speaking.
I think this is so important, and I'm so glad every time you explain this to people because I think people are angry just to be angry.
Yeah, of course. I know that feeling.
And again, so is there some wild, national popular way for 100% daylight savings time?
No, this is the other thing that's going on. There isn't really that popular wave. Yes, the majority of people don't like the current system. How should we keep time? 32% say we should keep the current system. But when you ask them, just 38% say we should be in all daylight saving time when you average across the polls. And then you get 26% who say standard time only. So when you're talking about people being angry for the sake of being angry, yeah, they don't like the current system, but they can't really make up their mind which system we should choose if it ain't the current system.
And Harry, didn't we try this once?
We've tried this before. Go back to 1974. We had daylight saving time throughout the year. And what happened after we did that? Okay, year-round daylight saving time. After trying it in 74, just 41% favored it. The majority, there was a march to the opposition. 53% opposed it because it turns out that folks in places like Detroit don't like sending their kids to school in the dark during winter.
All right, what are the chances? Now that the House has passed this, what are the chances? What are the prediction markets saying that it will actually happen?
Yeah, okay, you take a look at this. Chance permanent DST becomes law before January 20 of 2029, before the end of Trump's term. It was 34% a few days ago. Now it's about 50-50, a 54% chance. Bottom line is this. We'll have to wait and see what the Senate does, but they shouldn't be passing DST if, in fact, you want to maximize the amount of sunlight you have during the hours that truly matter.